हेलो माय डियर फ्रेंड्स, कैसे हैं आप लोग। उम्मीद करती हूँ आप सब अच्छे होंगे। चैप्टर नंबर 42, द स्नोमैन, फ्रॉम द बुक थीफ, रिटन बाय मार्कस यूजैक। For Liesl Meminger, the early stage of 1942 could be summed up like this. She came 13 years of age. Her chest was still flat. She had not yet bled. The young man from her basement was now in her bed. Question and answer. How did Max Vanderberg end up in Liesl's bed? He fell. Opinions varied, but Rosa Huberman claimed that the seeds were sown at Christmas the previous year. The 24th of December had been hungry and cold, and there was a major bonus: no lengthy visitations. Hans Jr. was simultaneously shooting at Russians and maintaining his strike on family interaction. Trudy could only stop by on the weekend before Christmas. For a few hours, she was going away with her family of employment, a holiday for a very different class of Germany. On Christmas Eve, Liesl brought down a double handful of snow as a present of Max. Close your eyes, she did said. Hold out your hands. As soon as the snow was transferred, Max shivered and laughed, but he still didn't open his eyes. At first, he only gave the snow a quick taste, allowing it to sink into his lips. In today's weather report. Is this today's weather report? Liesl stood next to him. Gently she touched his arm. He raised it again to his mouth. Thanks, Liesl. It was the beginning of the greatest Christmas ever. Little food, no presents, but there was a snowman in their basement. After delivering the first handfuls of snow, Liesl checked that no one else was outside, then proceeded to take as many buckets and pots out as she could. She filled them with the mounds of snow and ice that blanketed the small strip of world that was Himmel Strait. Once they were full, she poured them in and carried them down to the basement. All things being fair, she first threw a snowball at Max and collected a reply in the stomach. Max even threw one at Hans Huberman as he made his way down the basement steps. Arschloff, Papa replied, Liesl, give me some of that snow. I a whole bucket for a few minutes. They all forgot. There was no more yelling or calling out, but they could not contain the small snatches of laughter. They were only humans playing in the snow in a house. Papa looked at the snow-filled pots. What do we do with the rest of it? A snowman, Liesl replied. We have to make a snowman. Papa called out to Rosa. The usual distance voice was hurled back. What is it is now, Soccer? Come down here, will you? When she appeared, Hans Huberman risked his life by throwing a most brilliant snowball at his wife, just missing. It disintegrated when it hit the wall, and Mama had an excuse to swear without taking a breath for a long time. Once she recovered, she came down and helped them. She even brought the buttons for the eyes and nose, and some string for a snowman's smile. Even a scarf and hat were provided for what was really only a half-meter man of snow. A midget, Max had said. What do we do when it melts? Liesl asked. Rosa had the answer. You mop it up. Sommage in a hurry. Papa disagreed. It won't melt. He rubbed his hand and blew into them. It's freezing down here. Melt it. Melt it did, though but somewhere in each of them that snow was still upright. It must have been the last thing they saw that Christmas Eve. When they finally fall asleep, there was an accordion in their ears, a snowman in their eyes, and for Liesl, there was the thought of Max's last words before she left him by the fire. Christmas greetings from the Max Vanderberg. Often I wish this would all be over, Liesl. But then, somehow you do something like walk down the basement steps with a snowman in your hands. Unfortunately, that night signaled a severe downslide in Max's health. The early signs were innocent enough and typical: constant coldness, swimming hands, increased visions of boxing with a for it was only when he couldn't warm up after his push-ups and sit-ups that he truly began to worry him. As close to the fire as he sat, he could not raise himself to any degree of approximate health. Day by day, his weight began to stumble off him. His exercise regime faltered and fell apart, with his cheek against the surly basement floor. All through January, he managed to hold himself together, but by early February, Max was in worrisome shape. He would struggle to wake up from the fire, sleeping well into the morning instead. His mouth distorted and his cheekbones started starting to swell. When he asked, he said he was fine. In mid February, a few days before Nigel was 13, he came to the fireplace on the verge of collapse. He nearly fell into the fire. Hans, he whispered, and his face seemed to cramp. His legs gave way, and his head hit the accordion case. At once, a wooden spoon fell into the some cup of soup, and Rosa Huberman was at his side. She held Max's head and barked across the room at Liesel. Don't just stand there. Get the extra blankets. Take them to your bed. And you, Papa was next. Help me pick up and carry him to Liesel's room. She knelt. Papa's face was stretched with concern. His grey eyes clanked and he picked up on his own. Max was as light as a child. Can't we put him here in our bed? Rosa had already considered that. No, we have to keep these curtains open in the day or else it looks suspicious. Good point. Hans carried him out, blankets in hand. Liesel watched. Limp feet and hanging hair in the hallway. One shoe had fallen off him. Move. Mama marched in behind them in her Walden-some way. Once in the bed, blankets were heaped on top and fastened around his body. Mama, Liesel couldn't bring herself to say anything else. What? The bun of Rosa Huberman's hair was wound tight enough to frighten. It seemed to tighten further when she repeated the question, What Liesel? She stepped closer, afraid of the answer. Is he alive? Is he alive? The bun nodded. Rosa turned then and said something with great assurance. Now listen to me, Liesel. I didn't take this man into my house to watch him die. Understand? Liesel nodded. Now go. In the hall, Papa hugged her. She desperately needed it. Later on, she heard Hans and Rosa speaking in the night. Rosa made her sleep in their room, and she laid next to their bed on the floor on the mattress they had dragged up from the basement. There was concern as to whether it was infected, but they came to the conclusion that such thoughts were unfounded. This was no virus Max was suffering from, so they carried it up and replaced the sheet, imagining the girl to be asleep. Mama voiced her opinion. That damn snowman, she whispered. I bet it started with the snowman, mucking around with ice and snow in the cold down there. Papa was more philosophical. Rosa, it started with Adolf. He lifted himself. We should check on him. In the course of the night, Max was visited 7 times. Max Vanderberg's visitors score sheet. Hans Huberman 2, Rosa Huberman 2, Liesel Memenger 3. In the morning, Liesel brought him his sketchbook from the basement and placed it on the bedside table. She felt awful for having looking at it the previous year, and this time she kept it firmly closed out of respect. When Papa came in, she did not turn to face him, but talked across Max Vanderberg at the wall. Why did I have to bring all that snow down? She asked. It started all of this, didn't it, Papa? She clenched her hands as if to pray. Why did I have to build a snowman? Papa, to be enduring credit, was adamant. Liesel, he said, you had to. For hours she sat with him as she shivered and slept. Don't die, she whispered. Please, Max, just don't die. He was the second snowman to be melting away before her eyes. Only this one was different. It was a paradox. The colder he became, the more he melted. यहाँ पे होता है हमारा चैप्टर नंबर 42 ख़त्म. मिलेंगे हम विद नेक्स्ट चैप्टर में 43 13 प्रेजेंट्स फ्रॉम द बुक थीफ रिटन बाय मार्कस यूजैक। फ्रेंड्स, मेरे चैनल को लाइक शेयर और सब्सक्राइब ज़रूर से कीजिएगा। बाय एंड बाय। थैंक यू। बाय फॉर नाउ। थैंक यू वेरी मच।